everybody, and welcome to the work session and special meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Ossining for June 5th, 2018. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in a moment of silence in the memory of Alan Gantz, who left this world on June 1st. Thank you. Alan was an active community member, running Miller's Cleaners for many, many years. As a volunteer for OVAC, Ossining Volunteer Ambulance Corps, for over 30 years, and a volunteer firefighter for Ossining Hose Company No. 1. He was married to his wife Helen and love of his life, just 2 days short of 52 years. And he was beloved by his daughters and their families. He was a constable for the town and the village of Ossining for over 30 years and was always kind, even when delivering unpleasant news to the doors he knocked on. He will be sorely missed. Okay, we're going to start this evening with our work session. And I'm going to just start with some brief announcements, and then we'll get right into our work session agenda. At our last meeting, I spoke briefly about the legislation that was passed in New York State to set up charitable trusts as a way to help people avoid the increased burden of federal taxes since the new SALT legislation passed in Washington. This Friday, I will attend a Council of Governments meeting with Westchester County, representatives from New York State, as well as representatives from the members of the Westchester Municipal Officials Association. Since the IRS made their pronouncement last week, we have been hearing all sorts of things in response to what we believe will be the IRS's desire to disallow any such deductions if they are used as a credit against property taxes. Nevertheless, we will continue to work with the state and county to see if there are any workarounds to help our taxpayers. Congratulations to the Village of Ossining for successfully submitting their application to New York State for the DRI, or Downtown Revitalization Initiative. We have been involved with this application before and did work with them a little bit on this one because of its connectivity with our waterfront park, and we wish the village all the best. Today we attended the Mid-Hudson Region's Economic Development Grants Kickoff for 2018 for the Consolidated Funding application. Now that we have heard what their focus is for the region and the state, we will be evaluating the projects we have already in the pipeline to determine which of them might be eligible for grant funds through New York State. It's also an excellent way for us to generate ideas for future plans. Live, Work, Play continues to be the focus of the Mid-Hudson region, and many of our initiatives locally in the town to increase use and access to our public spaces align very nicely with those with that focus. So stay tuned for more information from us on grant applications. We had a wonderful event at Dale Cemetery last Sunday, unveiling the new map and new signs for the Dale Cemetery Heritage Trail, which were paid for from a New York State grant through State Senator David Carlucci's office. Please take some time to pay a visit to Dale Cemetery and to immerse yourself in Ossining's history. Big thanks to our partners, Ossining Historic Cemeteries Conservancy, for all their hard work in getting this trail ready for prime time and also for the event, and to Pete Connolly and the Jose's for all their time and effort as well in our cemetery. And it is a beautiful cemetery, and the trail's wonderful, and all of us were there on Sunday, and I think that we all had a really lovely experience. So we invite you all to take a tour on your own. The Sing Sing Kill Brewery on Spring Street, right across the street from the courthouse, held its official ribbon cutting on May 26th to a very full house. They're a New York State farm brewery committed to supporting local agriculture and are the newest member of Westchester's Hudson River Brewery Trail right here in downtown Ossining. We're so excited to welcome them and believe they will lead to even more interesting offerings in the Village of Ossining's downtown. Also, I am thrilled to announce the lineup for the Ossining Summer Waterfront Concert Series to be held at Lewis Engel Park starting Friday, June 22nd. Now, let me just find that document, and I'm going to tell you all of the bands that are going to be playing this summer. The series kicks off with the Roadhouse Roosters, who will perform on June 22nd at 7 p.m. They have up-tempo boogie and blues, and as a trio that specializes in funky arrangements of cover songs as well as originals. Friday, June 29th, See Out After Curfew, also starting at 7 p.m. This classic rock cover band plays music by artists such as Tom Petty, Fleetwood Mac, Pink Floyd, and Counting Crows, among others. On Tuesday, July 3rd, please join us for the Independence Day fireworks celebration. The band, John Bates Band, will kick off at 7:30 p.m. Bring your dancing shoes because this party band will be sure to get you up on your feet before and after you watch the dazzling fireworks. And John Bates is also a local from Ossining, and I heard great things about this band, and we're really looking forward to it. Friday, July 6th, which is unusual. For the first time, we're going to be able to have a few more concerts because we've had some local sponsors. Please join us for Soul Project at 7 p.m., playing an original mix of funk, jazz, blues, soul, and gospel. This New Orleans-inspired and Austin-based band will bring vibrant atmosphere of the city to the Riverside. Friday, July 13th, Taj Weeks will be performing also at 7 p.m. This reggae artist is not only a very talented musician, but also a dedicated humanitarian. His creative and musically adventurous set list will make for a great summer night along the scenic Hudson. Friday, July 20th, come and enjoy Jigsaw at 7 p.m. This 8-piece funk and R&B local favorite is based right here in Ossining, and also some of them come up from Brooklyn, and they will be sure to impress their hometown fans. Friday, July 27th, KJ Denner, an urban folk jazz artist, will be performing at 7 p.m. Her flawless and original musicianship makes her performances truly one of a kind, and Ossining is proud to call her one of our own. On Thursday, August 2nd, note Thursday, August 2nd, because the fire parade will be on Friday, August 3rd, so that particular concert is going to be on a Thursday night. Powderfinger performs at 7 p.m. This classic rock cover band has an extensive set list and covers songs from the Allman Brothers to ZZ Top, note for note. Here's some of your favorite songs sounding just like the originals. On Friday, August 10th, drum roll please, local favorite Mike Risco Band will take the stage at 7 p.m. These talented local musicians play pop and rock songs covering artists from Lady Gaga to The Who. Head down to the waterfront with family and friends for a night of great music, Risco style. On Friday, August 17th, come to the waterfront to enjoy DJ Catch One's mixing it up at 7 p.m. The awesome beats and songs that DJ Catch One plays will be sure to get you dancing. And that's Hopeton Lemon is DJ Catch One, and he's also a local favorite DJ. Sundad performs on Friday, August 24th at 7 p.m. This acoustic band will fill the summer air with beautiful rhythms and harmonies. Their original repertoire of world fusion and new age music will make for an enjoyable night you won't want to miss. And then finally, Friday, August 31st, the summer concert series will come to an end with 2 performances. At 7 p.m., we'll hear Culture Hound, and an Ossining High School grad-led band will take the stage, and then you'll hear from the Old Mill Singers, another local fave, at 8 p.m. This adult choral group sings a wide variety of music and will close the summer concert series with a night of fun and beautiful voices. So we hope that you will come on down to the waterfront starting June 22nd. We thank our sponsors, which include the Westchester Bank, our big sponsor for the series, Sterling National Bank, and Mike Risco Music, and we may have a couple more, so wait for it, okay? Can't wait. Just trying to think if there's anything else, some other highlights that are coming up. Is our Village Fair this Saturday from 10 to 5 this year. Also, there's on the 6th of June, Pig Roast, which is tomorrow, benefiting Leukemia and Lymphoma Society at the Briarcliff Manor, 25 Studio Hill Road. Ossining Documentary and Discussion Series is Thursday night, June 7th, with Major, following the life and campaigns of Miss Major Griffin Gracie, a 73-year-old black transgender woman who's been fighting for the rights of trans women of color for over 40 years. Activist Phoenix Gale, Cole Rivers, writer, artist, and community activist, and Brendan Scholl will be the speakers on the panel that follows. Mike Judas and Big Shot are going to be playing the Paramount Hudson Valley. We don't usually tell you about events happening outside of Ossining, but one of our local Saxophonist Mark Feinberg is part of this band, and he asked that we let everybody know they do cover Billy Joel songs, and we've heard great things about them, and that's going to be at Paramount Hudson Valley at 8 p.m. on Thursday, June 7th. Also, this weekend is the first of 2 weekends of the Osney Jazz Festival, which is going to be a tribute to women in jazz and blues, taking place on Friday, June 8th through Sunday, June 10th. I guess it's this weekend. On Friday night, check out Ann Carpenter and Camille Gaynor Jones starting at 7:30 at the Elks Lodge. Saturday night will also take place at Elks, featuring Kristen Mather, DeAndrade, and KJ Dinner. And so there's a 7:30 concert and there's a 9 concert, and you can stay for both if you want, or just pay for one. And then there's a special event at Bethany Arts Community hosting the Ossining School Jazz Ensemble beginning at 12:30 p.m. on Sunday. Village Fair, we spoke about. Make Music Ossining Briarcliff is going to be June 21st, and we'll bring you some more information about that coming up. Summer pottery classes for adults. Please take a look at the spring and summer brochure at the villageofossining.org/recreation-and-parks-department website, which is on the village website, and also you can get to it from our town page. And finally, don't forget, as Father's Day is right around the corner, the Ron Jankowski Memorial Run Father's Day 5K will be taking place. It's a run or walk, and you can go to sign up for it at go to the Briarcliff Village website to look for the link, because I don't see it here. That's it for me. Also, we have Donald Hot Pie Zarilla Memorial Breakfast on Sunday, June 10th from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Everybody's welcome at the Ossining Boat and Canoe Club. Adults are $12 and kids are $6. Proceeds go to the Donald Zarilla Scholarship Fund. Did I get everything right there?
Yep.
All right. Did I miss anything that you guys wanted to? All right. Done with our announcements, we are going to go into our work session. First up, we're going to have an update from our town assessor, Fernando Gonzalez, who's here tonight to give us an update on the 2018 tentative roll, which was posted on June 1st. I mentioned at our last meeting that his office had sent out the official change of assessment notices at the end of May, so we'll hear about that from Fernando as well. And thank you to those from the Board of Assessment Review who have come this evening to join Fernando and give him some support.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Once again, I'm here to talk about our most favorite subject, which is assessment, market values. And note that the assessment basically indicates more or less what you could sell your home or your property for. While we're not perfect, we do a pretty good job. This is the 3rd year that we are at full value assessments, and I believe that the residents are getting used to the idea, and they are more knowledgeable about their property values. And this year, although we sent out over 8,000 notices, the volume of calls and feedback has been less, in the sense that most people are aware of what their property values are. This is a sample of the letter. Take one and pass it around. So basically, last year or throughout the year, we updated the property records with the information or the changes due to building permits, fires, demolitions, as well as market changes by neighborhood. So all this work is done throughout the year, and then all of the changes as required by law, anybody whose assessment was changed, whether it was reduced or increased, has to get a notice. This year we sent out about over 8,000 notices. Most of those, of course, are due to equity changes, meaning changes in the market in their particular neighborhood. The notice is very clear. It indicates what you should do if you do not agree with the assessment. It indicates the date of grievance day, which is the deadline to file a grievance this year is Tuesday, June 19th, 2 weeks from today. While you do not have to personally attend grievance day and personally do a presentation to the board, you can file a grievance and the board will review it over the next few months and make a determination prior to final roll September 15th.
So again, so if somebody, just take us through a little bit. If somebody receives one of these notices and doesn't think that, oh, this doesn't make sense, this is way too high, or this is way too low. Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
Well, well, actually, we're going to talk. Maybe you're going to talk about that a little bit because you said
Yes.
that actually could happen. But if they think this is way too high, the first thing they should do is call one of those companies that sends the letters in the mail.
Absolutely not.
Oh no.
The first thing they should do is call us.
Oh, so call you.
Actually,
Okay.
this year
Well,
we
these
sent
are-
out the notices early. They went in the mail on May 23rd, and many people started receiving them prior to the holiday weekend. So we ask that if you disagree with your assessment and you think that is too high or too low, you can give us a call, and if we can, even at this time, we still have time available for either myself or Al, my assistant, Al Closey, to sit down and discuss your assessment.
No, you shouldn't come empty-handed, right? You should probably come with some.
You should come with information to support the estimate of value that you think your house is.
Okay, so not just like I think
should-
this, I think that. You should actually come with some
Well,
supporting like sales rate, that
Sales,
comparable
a
sales
market
data.
analysis by a competent realtor, or an appraisal report by a licensed appraiser.
Okay.
But also, if there are situations that we're not aware of, you may come forward and discuss it with us, such as wetlands, such as topography, perhaps, or a condition in the house that has happened recently that we're not aware of. So if you disagree, you can check the information on your property and your neighbor's property on our website and see the square footage, the features of the home, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, etc.
And that, again, that's just you go to the town website, you scroll down to the assessors.
Townofaucetin.com to the assessor's webpage, to the GIS property information tab.
Got it.
And there, not only can you see property information, the detail of ownership and information on each property, but also you can see a neighborhood map. Each neighborhood is color coded. You will be able to select the different layers in the GIS system and select sales. And you will see recent sales, color coded. The sales that happen within 1 year are green, 2 years are brown, and I think the other one is blue. 3
Can I
years.
just ask one quick question to our tech person in the back there? Are you getting? We're hearing some static from the microphone, and I don't know if you're getting that too. Okay, great. Okay, just double checking. Okay.
So you can see your property information and your street and your neighborhood, and you can get an idea of what sales has happened near your area. You can zoom in on the specific sales and see the details to see if it's comparable to your home.
Okay.
And you can have a better, an idea of what homes are selling for. All the information is available. Again, if you disagree, the deadline to file a grievance is June 19th. You can still give us a call, and we will be happy to sit down with you, particularly commercial properties where we don't get a lot of interaction with them. I'm always available to review their income and expenses and verify whether their assessed value based on the income approach is on or about correct.
Oh, that's a good question. So when do you usually get those that information from commercial properties?
I like to get them as soon as possible in the year, but certainly prior to May 1st.
I see.
Most income and expense reports are provided, particularly the commercial properties. Our larger commercial property owners, such as Erstad Beetle, they do provide it early in the year. As soon as they close their books, they do provide us with income and expense reports.
But we don't get that from everybody. I know.
No, we don't get. It's voluntary.
We're still trying to get that from.
It
some
is
of our
voluntary.
properties. Yeah,
But
it's voluntary.
yeah, it is voluntary. But in order to
But if somebody's seen a reduction in rents or they haven't been able to fill, then it behooves them to actually
absolutely,
get that information to you, because that would presumably reduce their assessment.
absolutely, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
On commercial properties
But
that
there's still time to do that. If they hadn't done it and they want to do it after they see their assessment and they think it doesn't jive
Yes.
with their rent.
yes,
their
actually,
rental.
I'm having meetings with some of the owners now, and we are
Okay.
reviewing their income and expenses and see whether our estimates of rent rates for different properties is accurate or not.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Thank you.
So
You talk about the
We-
factors.
we did all this analysis based on sales, and then we adjusted the assessment by neighborhood. This chart here indicates the neighborhood and the factor that was applied. Some of them went up, some went down, and many of them stayed the same. It is also important to know that commercial properties this year were adjusted anywhere from 6 to 8%. And that includes the condominium values, because condominiums are valued based on the income approach. And all of the condominiums, except one complex that was lowered, went up 6 to 8%.
Oh, that's a lot.
These factors are based on sales analysis of sales that happened 12 months prior to July 1st, 2016. And then we also go back 2 years. And basically, the data will show us what the increase or decrease should be, or in many cases, remain the same. You will notice that some neighborhoods, for example, Liberty Knolls last year did not get an increase, but this year got a 6% increase. Rose Cliff, for example, last year got a 2% increase, and this year did not get an increase. So it's done by neighborhood. All of these neighborhoods are specific. They have similar market conditions, similar school district, for example, and similar housing stock. While it is not perfect, we try to classify the properties by neighborhood that have similarities, so that similar sense of what someone would pay for a home in those areas is the same criteria for all of the properties in those neighborhoods. As you can see, some neighborhoods are very small and some neighborhoods are very large. For example, I think Indian Village is one of our largest neighborhood. Let's see.
So they didn't get
381.
an increase last year, but they got an increase.
They
this
got
year.
an increase of 1% this year. Now, if you did
I
not
got-
get if you did not get a notice, it's because you did not get an increase. So,
All right.
or-
I remember
or-
the notice, but
or-
it looks like I got an increase both years. I'm special.
and or the mail, or if you did not get the notice yet, there was an issue with the mail. We are getting now the returns that the mail was not, the post office was not able to deliver. So, again, grievance day is June 19th. If you, that is the deadline to file a grievance and seek review by the Board of Assessment Review, and that yes, grievance will be held here in this room on June 19th, starting at 5 p.m.
Is this information also posted or not?
No, it's not on the website.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Yeah, but, okay. Entertain questions from work sessions.
Between commercial properties and residential properties in terms of the percentage composition for the overall assessment of the town?
Yes.
Which way?
Well, the commercial properties went up 6 to 7%.
Right,
Mo-
but you're saying the whole pie changed? Did the whole?
Oh, you
the
mean
whole-
as far as the whole?
The
Yeah.
composition of the pie,
Oh, the composition, okay.
I'm going to talk about that.
Okay,
Not exactly about the pie, but about the difference, the results of this.
Teresa is on our Board of Assessment Review, so just thank you for.
While I do not have a pie chart to show you the, everybody has one of these? So after all this is done, of course, the effect of these mostly increases on the roll are reflected here on the totals. If you can see, the first page is the town-wide, and then the upper part of the page is by property class, commercial, residential, and the lower part is by roll section. As you can see, on the residential non-condo, which is the 200 property class, there is a net increase in assessed value of $40 million, 495,000. If you go down to the commercial, which is the 400 class, most of the commercial, is an increase of 70 million, approximately. And the net increase or difference from one year to the other is a total of about 132 million. This is subject to change, of course, because of the adjustment by the Board of Assessment Review, by SCAR reductions and certiorari reductions as well. The lower part shows that the total, on taxable values, townwide, there is a total increase of about $119 million. And then the same information is on the following pages for the village, the two villages, and the unincorporated area. The condos will be listed under the commercial 400 class. So.
And just
What are community services? Sorry.
Community services are properties owned by the municipality and the school districts.
in public service, how's that different?
Public service will be like library, specific, police. There is this is as per the New York State Property Class Codes classification. Con Ed will be a roll section 5 or 6, all the way down in utilities, and in public service, I believe.
So, just in terms of a calculation for bricks and mortar additions,
That would be change. That's not on this.
not reflected
This
here.
bricks and mortar, which is we call it physical increases.
Yeah.
Building permits, new construction. That's not reflected here yet.
Okay.
That would be physical changes, increases due to physical changes.
How long does it take for those to go through it? Like from the time they file a permit, they get a CO, when does it make it to your office?
Just
It
repeat
depends.
Can you just repeat?
Yeah, the question is, how long does it take for a permit to take effect, to be reflected on the roll? And it depends. Most residential projects, individual homes permits, within a year. But of course, if you have a subdivision like the new one in Briarcliff Manor of 9, I think they built 1 or 2 houses this year, and probably a couple more this year. But if you take a large project such as Avalon or Harbor Square, anywhere from 2 to 3 years, from the moment the permit is issued to the moment they actually. But as that project is proceeding, we are applying percentages of completion. For example, the first year we basically compare notes with the building department to come up with an idea, well, are they at 50%, 60%? So the increases in the roll are put in according to the condition as of taxable status day, May 1st of every year.
Is Sing Sing under state-owned land?
The Sing Sing land is under state-owned land,
Okay.
which is the taxable portion for school purposes only.
Okay, so that 34 million is for school purposes.
For school purposes only. Roll section 3, taxable. The buildings and improvements there are exempt.
Okay, and
They are in a different parcel ID because they have to be separated.
the wholly exempt is all of our holy places, the churches and.
Yes.
Sorry.
The holy exempt is basically the houses of worship and or educational institutions that are exempted. It's important to know that this year, the former Pace campus, which is now owned by Research and Educational Center. Anyway, make a long story short, this was an exempt properties, but the exemption was removed this year because they are not using the property for the exempt purposes that they applied for. So a letter is sent. Of course, they have the right to appeal and file a grievance prior to June 19th.
That they'll start using it for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I believe that's about completes my presentation, unless there is any questions specific.
Board colleagues, wait, any of you have any questions for our assessor? Any questions?
So
One
what's the,
one thing I wanted to point out that also for commercial properties, we do have an income and expense form that any business, we can make it available for any business to complete, to make it easier for them to compile their information, especially if they, they're not a large operation and they do not have an accountant that does that for them. So
Okay.
we do have a form.
Okay.
No, it's a 3-page form. We can make it available on the PDF on the website.
Okay. Thank you.
By the way, the grievance form, not only is it available in the state website, but through our website, we have a link to the 524 grievance form for anyone to print, or we have it available in the office.
Great.
So one quick question. So the housing value, like what are the percentages? Is our housing stock value going up, down? I mean,
It is going up overall. Some
percentage
areas
of
faster
property
than
value?
the other. I think on average, the residential sector went up 2%. However, we do have some neighborhoods that are seeing a 4 or 5% increase based on sales. In fact, we're always talking with the members of the real estate industry about the effects of the new tax laws is having on residential properties, and we've been keeping an eye out to see if we can measure the effect. Well, up to this point, we have not seen an impact, but in discussions with Teresa and other realtors, it seems like the new tax law is affecting the properties in the 2 million range for the most part. We've seen a stagnation of the market that has been very active in the last 2 years. So we are seeing good increases in this year, which will be measured for next year in the small multifamily sector. I believe that many of our 2 and 3 family homes in the roll are under assessed at this point. But we will be measuring that, and next year make the appropriate adjustments. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for all the information. Okay, And so just one more reminder, June 19th, which is 2 weeks from today, is grievance day. So please get your letters in or call the assessor's office between now and then if you want to grieve your assessment. Okay, next, we're going to talk briefly, hopefully, about a recommendation from Superintendent of Dale Cemetery, Pete Connolly, who wasn't able to join us tonight, but he had shared with us a memo in which he said that he receives requests from time to time to bury more than one set of cremated remains in the same plot or in a casket. We do not have an established fee for these burials, so Pete had offered a suggestion of $300 when the cremated remains are buried at the same time as another in an additional container or placed in a casket with an additional container. So the $300 is those two fees would be added to our fee schedule for Dale Cemetery. Is there any discussion? I hope not too much because I probably can't answer any questions without Peter. But maybe
Just the only other thing that Mr. Connolly had mentioned was that even though it's not physical work to bury those additional cremains, it's the record keeping end of it. So if you have two folks that are now buried in one plot, that's what makes the distinction.
seems reasonable. Reasonable. Okay, and if everybody's okay with it, we're going to add it to, it's on for the special meeting a little bit later to adopt that change to the fee schedule. Okay. Next up is hopefully short conversation about CDBG, or Westchester County is reintroducing the Westchester Urban County Consortium, which we've spoken about briefly at a couple of other meetings, which would allow us to apply for federal community development block grants. Next week, instead of our regular Tuesday meeting, we will join the Village of Austining on the Wednesday night for a public hearing at the library, Austining Public Library, to entertain any and all applications, including our own, for CDBG funds. Any not-for-profit or municipality that wants to apply, I think with the village, I'm still not 100% sure, or the town, must present at this public hearing. Do you understand this?
Any nonprofit that wants to apply must present at a public hearing. So if you're a nonprofit out there and you have not been in discussion with the village or the town about making an application, this would be the public hearing that you'd want to be at, because the application is due on June 29th, and I don't know that you would have another opportunity to do so, but it is required by nonprofits to appear at a public hearing.
Yeah, and there's some, I think, a time in terms of when we have to announce the public hearing and how far before the application that you hold the public hearing. So the plan for the town is to submit 4 applications, which we're allowed to submit up to 4, for work to be completed over the next, it's over 3 years, but it's in the next 4 years. So between 2019 and 2021. And based on advice that we received from the county planning department, we believe our best bet would be to do so in the following order. We have had some preliminary conversations with the village, because one of the couple of them we're really trying to coordinate with the village. So just to take you through, the town's eligible to apply for up to 4 applications for projects to be completed over the next 3 fiscal years through CDBG. These are 50-50 matching grants with a maximum grant request of $250,000. In separate consultation with the grant reviewers, we were told to submit our less complex submissions first. The 3 projects the town will likely, there are 3 projects in 4 applications will likely apply for are as follows. Application 1 would be purchase of a 16-plus passenger bus, electric or hybrid, for the senior nutrition program. Application number 2 to be completed in fiscal year 2020 or 2021. We're still kind of playing with the dates, but probably most likely it would be 2020, is the renovation of the senior nutrition program kitchen. This project we are hoping will complement a CDBG application by the Village of Austining for a larger renovation of the entire community center, and we anticipate that they're going to have some discussions about that tomorrow night. And some of these things are, the first one we'd have to have correct right out of the gate, but the next couple we can play with over the course of the years when the applications are, before they get approved, because they get approved annually. So the third and fourth applications to be completed in fiscal year 2021 would be for Lewis Engle Park and beach rehabilitation, which would likely include redesign and relocation of the current stage and bathroom facilities to accommodate an enhanced performance area for the community, improve the beach area to make a more inviting beach with amenities, a new kayak storage area and rental facility, enhanced parking areas near the play spaces, with design assistance to likely be provided by Westchester County Planning Department. Beach improvements would coincide with efforts to work with Westchester County to mitigate unpleasant odors coming from their wastewater treatment plant nearby, and we understand that that is something that they can do. Other landscape improvements would also include widening the current walking path to make it ADA compliant and facilitating possible vendor access. And
I have a question. Does the beach improve? I was always told that there's some kind of wreck somewhere off the beach.
It's not there.
It's not there? Okay. So,
Remember we sent Scott Craven in there to go look?
oh, the dock. Oh, I thought they did find a dock, but
it was just not within, my understanding, it wasn't within like the 40 or 50 feet that they were going to go out for the polar plunge, but there was something there, and that's why it was cordoned off.
I am not aware of anything being there.
I think that they did find some remains of something, but that it's not something that's salvageable, certainly. But it's doesn't mean that we couldn't, potentially improve that whole section and make it something that's accessible. We know that they've been testing the water quality over the last few years, and the water quality is generally good in the summer. So that's been a very positive. We also know that there obviously is an expense to running this kind of program, but it certainly is something that would make beach accessible to our public in a way, and certainly to people who oftentimes maybe not have access to a lovely beach. So the kind of things that it would probably involve would be bringing sand in and a lot of other things that would go into improving that beach, as well as
tropical fish.
No, I think actually when they close Indian Point, the tropical fish are going to go away. That's what they've discussed. Water won't be hot enough anymore. Yeah.
Do you have thoughts on where the stage and or
I mean,
restroom facility?
this is all going to have to be something that's designed. Absolutely don't have any ideas of where these things are going to go. That's going to be part of what we're going to get with the grant, or that we work with Westchester County specifically. But it would be to look at the whole beach area and try to figure out a way to make all of the things fit more better, so that we could accommodate more people for the concert series, so that it would be something that
try to get a few
would have
extra feet of land to
amenities.
widen the walkway, because
The walkway access. I mean, there's lots of pieces to this
Mhm.
that would tie it. Certainly making it easy to tie into. Hopefully in 2021 breaking ground on a museum and really making this like centerpiece of our community in a way that right now it's we do our best, and obviously we've put in lots of efforts to improve. Last year we put in additional picnic areas. We put in landscape improvements. This year we're working on upgrading the surfacing at the spray park. Obviously we were hoping to make that recirculating. That didn't work out for us, but all of these things are done with a mind to the fact that these are important community assets, and this is where our community enjoys.
can we prioritize some of the parking, because there's a huge parking problem down there now. So a lot of people come down hoping to use our facilities, and there's just nowhere for them to park.
So
So
all of those are part of this description.
Okay.
It talks about parking, it talks about walkway improvements, talks about accessibility, it talks about beach, it talks about,
Yeah, I'm hoping we can
performance
have the
space.
conversation before 2021, though.
well, we can't, I mean, we certainly
The
can.
grant has to be written now,
Yeah,
but the grant's not written yet. So
Yeah.
you have to incorporate these things into the detail of the grant, so that next week there'll be a little bit more detail, I think, probably.
yeah, I mean,
A little bit more.
I think the grant's due June 29th, so.
Right, so the grant will be done, so, and it's only, it's only up to $250,000. So you're not
So-
going to be able to achieve all that with this grant.
All right, so it doesn't
it's
preclude,
it doesn't
preclude us
preclude
working on these
everything.
areas
It's part of,
beforehand.
it's
Right.
part of multiple funding sources to better the area, but you're not going to be able to do all of that with $250,000 anyway.
So it's just something that we're gonna have to have, you know, again, in our pipeline.
And the-
And we can also look for other grant funding sources. And today, when I was at the CFA application, you know, we don't have a local waterfront revitalization plan. The village does. And I believe that the reason that we never did was because the park is in the village, even though it's a town park. The village could have incorporated the park into theirs, but it doesn't. It actually, it's my understanding that it just says, you know, this is a town park, so it's not part of our plan. So we can actually use funds to look at having a waterfront revitalization plan of our own
Okay,
as part of the CFA grant process. So we're going to be looking for other sources of funding to really make a greatly improved waterfront that will be accessible to all.
would it be possible to explore Harmony Park also? The music park?
Yeah, everything's possible. Nothing's impossible.
Okay. That's
All of
something
those
I'd like
things.
to
Mhm.
explore further.
Yep. I mean, we've been looking at those pieces anyway. I actually had a really fantastic meeting with a young man who's doing his capstone project at Roosevelt, fifth grader, yesterday to talk about how our playground doesn't really offer a lot of accessibility. And that was, interesting to me. So I think, as we're moving forward and looking at play structures and how we can improve our play spaces, we should absolutely be considering surfacing because that makes a difference, wood chips versus, poured in place surfaces, and accessible play structures. So that we can really, make sure that we have inclusivity in our playgrounds. So anyway, all of those things, whether it's harmony, accessibility, I think that fitness for adults, there's fitness pieces that would greatly enhance our the appeal of a playground where you can, be with your children and also get a little of your own fitness in. There's a lot of different options now, and I think that play structures in general have been, getting better and better all the time. So I think that there's opportunities for us.
Okay, but we don't have to flesh that all out this year.
It really is a placeholder. We don't have to have super detailed grant
Okay.
application at this point. It's more than anything, it's a placeholder. All right. Any other comments about that? Okay. So then moving forward, this week we were approached by an Austin resident. I believe we all received an email from Jacinda Moore to consider sending a letter of support to our state representatives to encourage passage of legislation that would allow anyone to apply for and receive a driver's license in New York State, even if they don't have a social security number. The Village of Austin recently passed a resolution in support. According to Ms. Moore, this was what the law allowed some years ago in New York State until Governor Pataki's administration started requiring social security numbers to obtain a license. In an effort to make our roads safer for all, to allow immigrants to continue actively participating in our economy, keeping their families healthy and schooled, and being productive members of our society, this resident has asked that we send a letter of support to return this law to the books in New York State. Would you like to comment on that?
I think it's a really important thing, and people don't realize that when people drive without a driver's license, the risks that it poses to themselves and others, because they obviously they don't necessarily have insurance and things like that. It's actually a really good public safety initiative, not only for the person, but for everybody else on the road. So there really is, I think, an important reason to allow people to get a license if they're going to be driving. They should have a license.
I'm fully supportive. Anybody else?
I actually had been in an accident with somebody who didn't have a license and ran away, and it was a real issue. The Austin police being as awesome as they are, actually found the person. But, you know, I really would have been up a creek without. Yeah. So I think had they had a license and stopped and, you know, then it very easily could have become all in my insurance. And reading the facts that they put here, saying that it will possibly have a 10% decrease in hit and runs, and 3.5 million out-of-pocket savings to drivers who didn't have, you know, that sounds good to me. So
I mean, it makes sense to go through the process, take the test, learn the rules, be aware, have insurance. I mean, it just makes sense.
Okay, some common sense legislation. So we're going to put that as a resolution on our
Special meeting agenda for next Wednesday, which may be
Special.
before and maybe after
Right.
the meeting with the village.
So just as a reminder, again, we do not have a meeting scheduled for next Tuesday since we have this public hearing for the CDBG grants on Wednesday. So we will try to put together a special meeting to pay bills as well as to approve any resolutions. And if we can't get it on for this meeting, then we could put it on for the following. If it starts to get too long. Well, we probably will meet at 7 because I believe the public hearing. I believe the public hearing is going to be scheduled for 7:30, but I'm not 100% sure because the village is probably going to be scheduled at earlier. No, you don't remember that either. Okay, so then probably 7:30. Okay, and next up, are we still in our work session? Work session.
That was the last agenda item.
And we have Fern Quesada is here to talk to us about the haunted hayride. Last year was the first year that the town of Ossining took on the effort of running the haunted hayride in Cedar Lane Park. Prior to that, it had been a fundraiser for the Ossining Historic Cemeteries Conservancy, although years ago it was a town-sponsored event as well.
Yeah, I
Fern
think over 10 years ago.
has led the charge as producer and organizer of this event for the past 4 or 5 years. Is that fair?
This is our 5th year we're going into.
Okay, 4 years, and she's here tonight to discuss with the board plans she has for this year's event and how to make sure it is, for the most part, self-supporting as well as successful.
Okay, so first I would like to apologize. I have a really bad head cold, and I will do my best to get through this without needing to sit down or drink water or cough. So, first of all, in front of you, when you open the packet, it's got the budget. This budget was different a couple of months ago, and I guess Dana had brought it to you guys for a little review, and now I've gone and reviewed it and edited it and changed it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have about 6 people who are asking to be paid for doing the hayride. What I spoke to everybody about last night is they are willing to say, okay, we'll accept a smaller amount if it doesn't fit the budget, contingent that they would be able to get paid the actual amount we had discussed if we raise enough in sponsorship money to cover those additional payments to them. Any questions on that so far?
Sure.
Okay. I want to do it in little sections.
So just because I was looking at the earlier version and now I'm confusing myself, so I'm
and
ignoring that.
This is Jen Ward. She's our assistant director, and this is Mike Santiago. He's our creative director.
Oh.
So they're my right and left hand. So if I forget anything, they're
Okay, go ahead.
So the column that's marked budgeted and then the column that's marked contingent.
that contingent column is for if we raise the sponsorship money and are able to cover.
I understand, but my question is, should you be able to raise the sponsorship money? For example, is it budgeted plus contingent, or
It's budgeted without contingent. It's budget. If you look down the budget line, it includes the sponsorship goal of $20,000.
well, I'm looking at the line for creative
and if
director,
you-
for example.
Uh-huh.
So it's 1,000 budgeted,
Right.
and then in the contingent column, it's 3,000.
But all
Right.
the
So
other
it
ones
would
are
be
the same
3,000 added to the 1,000.
So it is B plus C.
So it's B plus C. So in other words, if you raise the money, then you forget.
It's about
Example, would get
$10,000.
$6,000.
It's $10,500 between everybody's contingent payments.
But then, so basically, I'm just trying to do the numbers here. If you raise, your goal is
20,000.
20,000 sponsorship goal, and then 720 tickets. So if you raise that money, then the contingent comes out of the total profit.
It comes out of the total profit on the bottom, correct? The 20,900.
Okay, what if you raise money but don't meet your goal? How are you gonna?
Then I want to sit with Maddie and the gentleman we sat with last year that helped with the contract for a percentage to see what would be best suited, to create a percentage that the contingent would be based on. And that would be like written in advance. The only person that doesn't have a contingent and is a flat rate has to be is our lighting director, Jeff Staples. He's the one that does all the trees at the bottom of the entrance. He's purchasing lights for us to permanently have that can be affixed to the sides of the trailers, so we don't actually have to put any lighting out in the field or in the hayride section anymore. And we're leasing a few other things that we had leased last year as well. So
So the light's gonna be attached to the town trailer, it comes on and off?
yeah, we have separate. So 3 years ago, I think it was. I think it was before. No, 4 years ago. It was I guess the second year, Mario went through and rebuilt all of the trailers so that it was easier to put them up and take them down so that we can reuse them for like the next 20 years if we wanted to. So those trailer pieces, you've seen them, right?
Yeah.
The pieces, they're
wood
actually,
Sides.
yeah, the wood sides. They look like have you been to the hayride, Jackie? Or
Yes.
It looks like the wood fence piece that goes around, kind of like you'd see at a farm.
Mhm.
So those actually I think he uses carriage bolts, so they come undone and then he takes those out and they get stored in the garage.
So that's what you would attach the lights to?
Yes.
So the fire show, that wasn't a real big hit last year.
We had some scheduling issues. So Sean actually stepped in to try to help distract people. So he kind of made a judgment call on his own, and he extended his normal show, which is normally only about 15 minutes. He extended it to, I think, like 25 minutes to kind of keep people engaged, to help us try to alleviate some of the tension with the younger kids that were getting frustrated.
I just didn't think he was that good. I mean, I don't think it was. Did
I
anybody
thought
see
he
it?
was great.
The second day, when we weren't
The
running
second
late, I
day,
actually
he was-
liked it.
he was amazing
completely
the second
different. He was
night.
on his own. So
Yeah.
that first night he was stretching it, and
It made no
kind of
sense.
drawn
Oh,
out.
I
It
see.
didn't make
Okay.
sense.
The second
But
night,
the second
according-
night when he was doing,
yeah.
I did see him do his regular show, and that was pretty
Yeah.
good. So
So
no more stretching it.
no more what?
Stretching it.
Stretching it. Okay.
No more stretching it. Definitely no more stretching it.
The other question that I just have for you is about that $20,000. Are you going to talk about that later? 'Cause I know it's at the bottom, but you mentioned it. The
You can
sponsorship.
jump to that if you want.
Well, last year the donations came in at about $3,100. So that's a huge.
That's because last year we didn't have anybody to help get the sponsorships. So in previous years, I had the board of OHCC who stepped up and was the ones that went out to get all those sponsorships, and that was anywhere from I think $7,000 to $10,000 we got like the year before in sponsors.
So if they got 7 to 10 when you had people helping, how are we now going to get to 20?
Because I met a woman named Gina who does marketing and what is it called? And fundraising for not-for-profits. It's actually her job, and she's being very gracious and charging a very minimal amount. And she has a sponsor list and corporation list that she can reach out to. And if you flip to the third page, you have where it says Forest Ophir sponsored hayride sponsorship opportunity. I took the town's, for printing purposes, I took the logo off of this because I didn't want to waste all my ink. But we also took the town's logo off of it, Dana, because you had said that you can't exactly seek out sponsorships.
Right, so it's better if you just seek it out as the
Correct.
producer.
Yep. So that's what I changed today. And we edited everything. Our website was finished at 3:00 today. Daniel worked all night long putting up all the photos from last year, so you can actually go on the website if you want and take a look in the gallery that's on there. There's some other things that we'll be changing on it though as well. made it easier to read and easier to follow.
So you're not going to be asking, I mean, I know last year it was hard to get sponsors because the town's name is on it. So you're just
Right.
not going to have it on there at all.
We're just not going to have it on there, correct?
Right.
It's still labeled in there that it is a town event somewhere.
Well, it does say make checks payable to the town of Austin.
Correct.
Oh, that's a thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something. I usually don't make comments like this, but sponsorship levels, particularly corporate sponsorship, like there's a halo on it.
Uh-huh.
So
do you mean? I'm
I
sorry.
love the level. Like there's, it's supposed to provide some benefit, some PR benefit to you. So I just gotta be honest. Like I like witch, cat, owl, and pumpkin, but I'm not sure the Reaper for the top one is the way to go.
Actually, when we took a vote,
That's not where I thought you were.
we took.
I'm sorry. I just I mean
a
for what's
couple of
worth.
months ago, I threw up like all these things to a bunch of parents and people that own businesses and stuff, and the one that they loved the most was the Reaper.
Okay, then maybe I'm wrong. I just.
I think it's fun.
All right, I don't know why it just struck me that way. I'm not gonna make a big deal about it, but I was
the
wondering.
same way. I was like, oh god, like if they get the Reaper, are they gonna think that like we're
Yeah, anyway,
I know.
it's really a minor thing. Otherwise, I think it looks great. And then if you have somebody helping you with the
Yeah, so
sponsorships,
Gina has a list. Starting tomorrow, I believe she's going to send this out to the corporations that she's already had conversations with.
oh great.
So we should know. Yeah. So it's not that she hasn't spoken to them. It's just we've been trying to fix our website because we don't want to give half of a product to somebody, especially when we're trying to sell it in order to make not an income, but in order to make money to put this event on.
It's good that she
successfully.
started already, so
Yeah.
that's great.
Okay.
Do you want me to change? I don't have another account.
Um,
You guys created an
so
account
we're
for the
still
Hayride.
talking about
That's why we
paying
had-
paying actors to do this.
Yes. So the budget is actually exactly the same as last year. It was $3,000, I believe. Was it 3,000 last year?
I don't think I have the expenses.
That should be
It might have been over. It might have been 32.
Actors,
Yeah.
actors, $7,230 is what we spent on. Oh, but that's including Sean. Wait, maybe that's no, because that includes web hosting.
That's way higher than.
Sean, that's $900. Actors were 2,975. Oh yeah, actors
How
were
much?
2,975.
So this budget actually brings it down to 3,000 flat. And what I did was we have 2 actors that are very interested in coming back for this year, and we did a 3-tier system. So after this year's event, I went and sat down with a couple of different theater directors and production, and a couple of different set designers, and said, "Help me make this flow better." One of the things that I was able to do was sit with a couple people for about 3.5 hours at Dee Dee's Diner, and we worked through every aspect of the hayride and how it can be more functional. That's where these guys now come in. I actually have 2 assistant directors. Her husband is also one of the assistant directors, and they share all the duties and roles. So one of them will always be able to be with me so that I don't lose track of what I'm doing and what has to be done. We also had, we had Mike as creative director last year and also trying to do technical manager. The building aspect with all the kids and the scheduling, it's very, very hectic. So we had a weakness there. Now we understand that we need to have those 2 titles separate. So that's where our technical manager comes in. Glenn, he's got carpentry experience, a little bit of everything. Then we have Mike, the creative director. He basically takes all the thoughts and ideas that I've formulated, and then kind of fishes them out a little bit more and actually creates the rest of the event as far as the scenes and the way the sets might look, the way the trail will be. So.
I have to say, I kind of like the volunteers a few years back almost more than some of the actors. The actors weren't.
So that was another mistake I made. Last year I had gone through one of the local acting groups and spoke to them briefly. I wasn't aware that there's actually different styles of acting. I never formally took acting. I was a ballerina and a modern dancer and put on little productions and stuff, but I never actually knew that there was different levels and genres. So if you flip to the casting call, the open casting call list, you can see here that this is totally different, totally changed as far as what we're asking of people that would be paid. And after you read that, I can explain to you why we have to have some paid. guys all set? All right. So changing it this way, we're leaving the theatrical. I need to have lines in front of me. Um, reading from a script over and over and over again. We get away from all that. These actors are going to be condensed down to our 3 walkthrough areas. I'm not comfortable having a lot of small children in the walkthrough areas because it's dangerous. You never know what is actually going to scare somebody, so it makes it a very tough job to watch and make sure that, you know, little Johnny Smith is going to come out of a side of a plastic and yell at somebody, and we don't want them to get hit. So sometimes the smaller they are, the creepier they are. I have one girl in particular who walked down the side of the trail this year because she got sick and stayed in character the entire time with me hiding behind a tree. And she scared at least 4 or 5 trailers of people because she was walking so slow and had her hair down over her face. It was terrifying. And she actually asked if she could just do that this year, like walk in circles the whole night, and I'm totally fine with it. I don't know. She's been with me for, this is her 5th year too. So, and both her parents help. So what we did in payment of actors, so we have 2 that are coming back, definitely 1, possibly 2. Those 2 would be paid at their rate last year. Under them, I went through and decided, looking at our playbook, you know, who had lesser roles or, you know, more downtime in between or didn't have to get as done up, and we adjusted the price accordingly. In the field, we have it a certain rate, a very lower rate, and that's because we want to have them be able to just basically stay on cue. They need to be the guides for the smaller, younger people behind them. The people that are on the trailers, I've chosen to hire 4 instead of 2 because last year, I guess I never realized before, I'm always on the back of the trailer and I just keep going. But it's my event, so I guess I'm energized and it doesn't bother me and I just crash when it's over. But they were very tired at the end of the night and they only got like 1 break apiece, and that was to run to the bathroom, and they were constantly with 30 or 40 people at a time. So it became very stressful for them. So this way, I had spoken to Mario. He has a 3rd trailer, and if you look at the top, materials TO, that's for him to rebuild the trailer to use, so that we would have the 3 trailers instead of the 2 trailers. So, and this would allow us actually to have more people go through. We changed the layout a little bit, so it's actually 60 people now every 15 minutes. Last year, I was very nervous, so I capped off the website, just like I did the year before and the year before. This year, I'm going, okay, let's just go. This is what we can handle. One of my lighting director, Jeff, he's a math whiz, so we went up to the park this past Saturday. We spent about 2 hours there calculating like how long it will take to get through one structure and how long it takes to get through the next, how we can push people through if they're dilly-dallying too much. So we were making little secret compartments for people to hide behind so that they can do an extra scare just to get people moving through. All is said and done, it's 720, I think. It's 720 tickets that we're able to sell for each night. Last year we sold, how many, Maddie? I didn't print out what you sent me.
400 maybe a night.
It was just, it was almost 900.
Yeah, it's hard to do because the way that we kept the accounting spreadsheet is we basically just put together, or I put together, how much we brought in ticket sales. So at one point the tickets were 15, and then after a certain date they went to
We raised
18.
18.
So we just know how much money.
Yeah, we
we
did
made.
an early bird. We did an early bird sale.
You could
Right.
have but
Right.
there's no kid price, right?
The
Everybody.
kid price is just at the field. So
Oh,
if
little
they're
kids
not
for-
going on the Haunted Hayride, there's
Right.
a field entry. And we've had it at $5. And last year I had a lot of parents tell me that we should increase it to $10. And I totally agree. Between the DJ we have going on, Westchester Balloon Company is interested this year. We're meeting this week. They want to design us a big corn maze out of balloons. They are biodegradable. And that would be instead of buying as much hay. We still need to buy hay because we still have to have the hay ride and people need to sit on the hay. So we don't totally get out of it, but that saved us about $800 right there by not having to buy 300 bales.
So the 400 or so tickets were sold, that was when you were capping?
Yeah.
So you're saying you can get to 720 if you don't have a cap?
I believe I can, yes. Yeah. Especially with Gina's help. I reached out to a few of my high schoolers that have been on as junior assistant directors with not a lot to do the last couple years. They're taking over our Instagram and our, what's that yellow thing? With the ghost? Snapchat. And they're taking over our kind of taking over our Facebook page. I've been saving different memes and funny things and stuff like that so that we can start. I don't know how to say memes. Okay. I am not a computer person. This is why I have to have Gina and the kids and Jen. I can't do anything
I
with
like
computers.
that.
So, we're already starting to do self-promotion. So, like, at least every week for the last couple of weeks, I've already started posting things on our different pages so that they become active again. That'll also entice the sponsors if they see interaction. I am going to do a sponsored post in the next 2 weeks, and that'll come out of my pocket. I'm just going to do it. Because last year when I did this, or not last year, but the year before when I did the sponsor post, I did a sponsor post, and like within 2 hours we sold, I think, like 150 tickets, like it was nothing. Yeah.
Great.
So we also spoke to last year the Channel 12 News. They wanted us, we were going to put up a banner, but it was not enough time. It was like 2 seconds, 2 weeks maybe before the event, and it wasn't enough time to run the banner. So that's actually put into the budget line where it says advertising and marketing. It was like, I think, less than $500 to do that for 2 weeks. So,
Yeah,
and we also have a relationship with Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, and Sleepy Hollow's Hayride. So they actually put us up on their website and take us down for a little while. They put us back up, and so.
I do think we need more directional signage from the
Yes,
various
ma'am.
roads.
Yes.
So,
So,
we can't just use the
I
same
had,
kind
and
of
I was actually trying to figure out how to print off of Facebook, but for some reason I don't have any of the messages that were from the 2 nights of the event. I had about 27 private messages to the Forest of Fears Facebook page. Nobody could figure out where to go.
Right.
One of the cases happened to be one of our actors. It was her mom and dad that drove here from like the middle or northern part of Connecticut, and they literally were driving by the event like for an hour and didn't even know it. So,
So, I mean, like something lit outside,
correct. Yeah.
and as well as getting off 9A.
We need a
as well
sign
as getting
right
off
on
9.
9A.
Right,
Yeah.
so from 9A North, 9A South, and we may be able to talk to New York State to see if
Yeah.
I'll let us put anything on the road.
I met one of the guys last year when we had borrowed the generators, and one of them said that they would actually potentially be able to put up a temporary sign and take it down. So it wouldn't be up year round. It would go up like September 1st, and then it would come down the Monday after the event. So he said there's some kind of application for temporary signage, temporary event signage or something. Yeah.
That would be helpful. obviously.
Yeah.
You said you're gonna have people get off. Are they gonna be walking through the dog park area again?
No.
So are they getting off the trailer at all, except for at the end to walk?
At the
through?
end to walk through.
Good.
We're looking into being able to use the garage to turn that into a haunted house. The lower lower portion and the upper portion, not the full thing, just like 3/4 of it.
I need to that yet, though.
What was that?
So, but you cannot commit to that yet.
No, that's why I said we are looking
Yes.
into being
Yes.
able to do that.
Yes.
So I'm actually, I would like to be able to call Mr. Hamilton and ask him if he can meet me over there and tell me what we need to do in order to make it fit the criteria or not, or that kind of thing. I did look up like regulations on signage for emergency exits and stuff like that. So that's actually implemented in the design plan we have, where there would be emergency exits and arrows that say exit that would be able to evacuate anybody if need be. So.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
So the other thing that I wanted to be able to do this year, we've never actually advertised the Halloween Village. So the few tickets we sold last year for Halloween Village was strictly from word of mouth from Lily's preschool 2 years ago. So that's just that school that came. This year I want to be able to actually market it, especially with Westchester Balloon Company helping and the increased amount of carnival games we're getting. Things like that, I want to be able to market that separately so that we could actually increase the amount of people that attend. That's the whole point of that field, is for the people with younger children that, can bring a grandparent so they can play the corn maze while mom and dad go on the haunted hayride,
I mean, honestly, I think that it should have slightly broader appeal than just for little kids, because it's a great place to have people wait and spend money
Right.
while they're waiting to go
Well,
on
and
the
we
ride.
also increase the amount of vendors we can have. So I actually went through with one of those Tiki things to measure out how many vendors we can fit safely and So we want to put at least 20. That's the goal, is to get at least 20 vendors that we can put in there. Psychics, you know, your Halloween related vendors. So I know the girls that did the makeup last year, they're volunteering to have a booth and do face painting for like $1 or $2 for the younger ones. Westchester Balloon Company is in for a booth. They're gonna do, what are those things? Balloon animals. Yeah, sorry, my head is. So,
You can have more people in the field as opposed to just Jamie.
The thing is, if we
yes,
advertise.
so I actually redid the
shops,
entire
we might
master
get
plan as far as needing volunteers. Jen and I already started reaching out for more volunteers. We sent an email out to 57 guidance counselors in 5 school districts. That is to help increase, because when we get kids that participate, we get parents that participate. And when the parents participate, then that's where we utilize them to check ticket bracelets and be at the main entrance and be in the field to help man that area. So,
Okay, yeah, I'd just like to see her not running in 15 directions and me watching her booth. Just saying.
I'm right there with you, trust me. You don't need to tell me anything I don't already know on that.
Other questions? Okay.
And if you flip to the last page, Miss Dana, that's for you. Michael ended up going and digging out the shirts that we had to throw out. So there was 33 shirts that got mice infestation and what did you call it? Urine
So
and
there's still
feces
another
all over.
150 minus 37 left to sell.
So there's 150 shirts in total. 37 of those have sponsors on it. And if you see our sponsor documentation, we're not offering sponsors to be able to be put on the back of the shirts because we're no longer ordering them. So we can't have those 37 shirts at our event next year to sell. So
The
our
rest of them you can.
the rest of them we can, yes. Absolutely. So that's why, but we need to give away or sell these at the Village
37.
Fair on Saturday.
I mean, yeah, you can sell the other ones.
Correct.
That's what you're saying, right? You can get rid of the 37, but you still have the 123, 113 to sell.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Math.
I know.
Mice?
Math.
I got
Plastic
I got the
containers.
heck scared. They were in, like, I was so freaked out. I picked up one box, opened it, went through. I was like, yay. Went through the next box. Yay. Went through the next box. Ah! I looked and there was no mouse left. I can't figure out how it got in there, but it literally ate a hole like this down through, back up this way, down this way, up this way, and then made like a whole circle with all the strings. Yeah, it was so gross. Yeah. So, but now the shirts are all safely.
The other boxes were
The rest of them,
untouched.
no,
They were, like,
nothing. They were
in that
nothing.
box.
They were actually in
Okay.
plastic boxes with duct tape. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's how I
Duct
still don't
tape.
know how this one got in there. Yeah, but they're all actually at Jen's house and Jamie's house. They're Jamie and her daughter, Kaylee. She's doing more community service time by rolling all the shirts for sale for Saturday's Village Fair.
Great. All right. Fantastic.
All right, so my question is, can I continue to proceed with this? Because we've already done probably about 80 to 90 hours worth of work on the creation of this year's project. So I just want to make sure that you guys are all so far okay, and we're not going to continue to do a ton of stuff that is going to end up being put to the side.
Any issues? Board?
No, I think, I mean, I think that you've budgeted conservatively enough so that even if you didn't hit your goals, you'd probably break even. So, just based on your past experience. So, you put a lot of thought into it and you're getting an early start, which I think for sponsorships is key.
trying to
You've
actually
already done your
start back in
sponsorship
January.
package and everything, and everybody likes the Reaper, so what did I know? And that's great. Maybe
If
this
you
will
wanted to change the Reaper,
no,
turn around and change the
If
Reaper.
everybody else likes it, that's fine. I just like I know if people want their business
we take a
associated
vote
with
on the
the Grim
Reaper?
Reaper. But maybe you could get some interesting businesses that way. So
The little emblems, they actually don't go any further than that page. They actually don't go on anything else. It's just an eye catcher. So
there
Or
will
on
be
a t-shirt that you're not ordering.
Will they be disappointed?
at our
Exactly.
Grim Reaper level.
yeah, and actually Gina and Daniel went today and they redesigned our sponsor portion of our website so that the they would appear bigger and more legible and stuff like that. So we've been going nuts.
Also, I do miss the smaller community. You know, not as
I actually
built up one. I do
I know.
miss it. I really kind of like
Yesterday-
the community feel of it, but
yesterday
it really turned it into something much
yeah.
bigger, much different.
Yeah, yesterday I sat and talked with Dana and Maddie for a few minutes, and then I went home and I got really mad, and I was starting to not feel good all of a sudden, and I started thinking about why I started it. I was home a lot by myself. My husband's in meetings and at work. Anna was off to school, and I had nothing to do. Then I joined, co-started OHCC, and then we needed money to buy stuff to clean graves, and then so I said, let's just do this. The first year was great. The second year sucked. It has this high and low. The first year we had almost 200 people. I think 210 tickets we sold the first year, and we had 34 volunteers. There's almost no way to wrangle how a haunted attraction grows. I've talked to people in Wisconsin and a couple of attractions in California, and they all started similar to the way we did. Like it started in somebody's backyard in Wisconsin, and somebody else down in South Carolina started theirs in their pig farm, which I don't even want to talk about. But it's just, there's no way to really wrangle it because word of mouth, people just show up, and it's,
So I guess that,
Yeah.
I guess that ultimately we just want to make sure that it's right sized for the park,
correct.
for the town, and and like you said, there's ups and downs. We'd like to see a couple years in a row when it's like,
Well, we had a couple years of ups. The second year, we got slammed with 350 people online, and again, we did next to no advertising. We had 350 people online at 6 o'clock, and we didn't open till 7. This was before we had the website. Third year,
it was great, and the fourth year was mixed. I'd say night number one.
night number 1 was horrible.
not
Honestly,
good.
that's one of the things, right? That's one of the things. So we did our technical rehearsal on Wednesday because that's what we've always done. But we've always been on a Saturday night. We've not been on a Friday night before. So that was a change too. So a lot of the volunteers that would usually come at 10 in the morning to help me didn't show up until like 4:30 because they had to be at work. So, right. And the school as well. The kids, the earliest any of the kids
Are we
can
talking
get
about
to.
Saturday and Sunday night then, or
We're still talking about Friday and Saturday. I'm thinking that Sunday might also go the opposite direction because parents are not going to want their kids out until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night on a school night.
yeah, no, exactly, yeah, our costs go up a lot.
Yeah.
I guess.
So, and then our parks guys, that's not fun to pay for on a Sunday.
I get that. I'm just wondering if
Yeah.
we go back to one night.
I won't do it for one night. It's too much work. It's not worth that. Yeah. Yeah. This year the plan is we have it already scheduled for Saturday the 20th. We're gonna do the technical rehearsals actually throughout the day. So any of the enclosed structures will be from like 4 until 8.
So just to
And the hayride portion will be starting like at sundown till I don't know, an hour or so.
I know you were talking about this before, and I was like looking at numbers and trying to listen at the same time, so I might have missed some of it. But in terms of what you're planning for the quote unquote acts, it's less acts and it's just more scares.
So
Because
one of
I
the
think
things-
that one of the most successful things has been the scary part. Like people
Yes.
go because they
So
want to be
one
scared.
one of the things that we did is, if we're able to use the garage, that's actually our buffer. So where people were waiting online before, when they walk from the field to the garage, the first 10 that get there, they get to go in, and then they get to go. And then the next 10, as they go in, they can go in, and they go up. As the other ones go up the stairs, they follow behind. Those 20 can go in a trailer. So that's where we're trying to break up the line and the wait, because I think 8 or 9 of us walked from the football field to the side of the garage, and we all just walked our normal paces. One of the guys got there in, I think, a minute and 30 seconds. So then another person got there in like almost 6 minutes. I got there in like 3.5 or 4 minutes, maybe even 5. So, yeah. So the previous year, last year especially, and I'm not sure what triggered it, we had an issue with timing as the trailers were driving. So we've all taken our cars and driven through the park now, in that loop that we use. And we've decided that if we have the trailers drive at I think it was like 5 to 6 miles per hour, it allows everybody to view the scene, and drive through it instead of actually stopping at each scene. So the trailer will not actually stop at any of them. And it's better for the trucks too, because they're not having to shift and all that other stuff.
Shh.
Yeah, so it's just load at the garage, and it's much flatter there too. So they would load in front of the garage, drive up and around. I tailored down the amount of scenes. So the lower portion of the garage is scene 1, upstairs is scene 2. Then that goes around. The field is 12, and the pavilion is actually 13. So they're going to go through a hunt that's actually in the pavilion. That again, Westchester Balloon Company has taken over that because they fell in love with it. So. I would
So no
argue.
more big plastic walls and
We still need to build big plastic walls and all
but
that other
under the
stuff.
pavilion.
No, Balloon Guy is taking care of all that. I have no idea how, but they're building PVC framing, and they're creating what looks like a circus tent walls out of balloons. So yes,
Do they, I
biodegradable
hope they don't
balloons.
degrade
The
in
link's
the
on their
rain.
website. I called her to make sure it was on the website. So you can,
Rains, what happens to the balloons?
no, it's like after they pop, I guess. I don't know. They degrade like a maple leaf. I don't know. I only read like the sentence
balloon
just so I knew if
mulch.
I was telling you the truth or not.
Okay, I like it.
Balloon mulch.
We compost them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Go read the article on Westchester Balloon Company's website. That's like the best thing I could suggest to you.
Small them.
And
Some face
so
plants.
usually we've done about 16 scenes to 18 scenes, and that also depends on how many kids we get to. So
Those
right
creepy
now,
doll kids. I mean, just sitting there were just creepy.
yeah, this year, so on September, what's the first Saturday that we're holding the youth auditions? September 8th? I think it's September 8th, the first Saturday after the kids go back. We do a big audition, and all the kids come on that Saturday. Everybody makes it. It's just to help parents and them understand that this is a real thing that you're working on, a real project. Our second year, we had about 22 people not show up that were signed up to be there. That's why I like to have some paid people. God forbid the school, like this year, had a football game the night of the first night, and we lost 8 people, so that wasn't a big deal, but I was able to pull a couple of actors to where those kids would have been in order to accommodate the loss of the body. So, yeah, we're not going to talk about that though. It's okay. So that's what we've done so far. Any other questions?
The only thing that I would just say is that I think you need to monitor your early sponsorships and if need be, tweak your budget as you go. And
Absolutely.
tweak your expectations as you go
Absolutely.
if we can't
Yeah.
raise that money.
If you also look at the budget, a lot of it is max budget. So like lighting material purchase, the max amount is $2,000. It will not exceed 2,000. It might not even exceed 1,000. But I put 2,000 in case Jeff comes up with some kind of amazing thing that that would be a selling point to the event.
Or a big hayride here sign in the front.
Right. So.
I'm liking that idea.
So things like that. I put in $500 for our special effects makeup. We always have to buy new latex. Last year I didn't ask for any money for that. I paid for it myself out of my pocket. It was about $400. So every year we have to buy disposable brushes and things like that to apply the makeup with. I went to school for cosmetology, so I am careful that the people that are applying makeup know precautions so that nobody gets sick. So, but
You guys okay? Okay. Yeah.
Karen, really, you and your team, it's a big production,
it's
and a lot goes into it, and you make it look like not as much goes into it, but
there's a lot.
it's a lot goes into it. So
Last year, 888 hours. I kept track of my hours.
thank you for taking on such an ambitious event.
And it is exciting, and we hope that it goes even better this year than last year or the year before, and that it is something that can keep growing. I think that it's a great.
This year I'm holding that. We can just hold him accountable. He's the creative director, so it's his job.
So I mean, again, just back to the original purpose was to offer like an affordable
Yeah,
alternative.
the whole purpose was to be able to present the community with a product that was affordable. Every time I tried to take my daughter Anna somewhere before I had Lily, it was like $30 a person, $50 a person for stupid stuff. Like things that you don't even, a bounce house. Why are you paying $20 to go to a bounce house? Is ridiculous. So that was one of the reasons I started it. And I also saw a lot of kids living on Spring Street. I've seen a lot of kids that don't have any friends. They get off the bus, they're wandering around alone. Sometimes waiting for their parents. So I reached out to a lot of those kids in my immediate neighborhood, and those are the first, a lot of the first group of kids that came. 2 years ago, one of the girls moved here from somewhere else. She had been here about a year, and it's the longest she's ever lived anywhere. She had never been to a birthday party for anybody. She had never been to a sleepover. She never had anybody that she could tell secrets to. Like, we had this whole conversation one day sitting by the pavilion. And like a week after the hayride, her mom called me in tears. And she was like, she finally has a friend. She went to her first birthday party for a friend. She went to a sleepover for that friend. And then they went to Dorney Park or something with her family. It was the first time that this poor kid, who was, I think, in 9th or 10th grade, had ever had like a true friend. And
Right.
that's what happens. Every weekend I'm almost every Saturday at the park starting September from 7 in the morning until the police show up and tell me that I've been there long enough and it's way too dark to keep working. So, and we get anywhere from 15 to 30 kids that show up throughout the whole day.
So, I mean, it's a great community event.
Absolutely.
From the participation point of view,
Right.
from the entertainment point of view, the ability to use our town park, and the ability to make something that is affordable and is entertaining and safe.
Yeah.
For
I'm
Halloween.
Hoping,
So
my
I'm
true
really,
hope is that I can turn around and knock these ticket prices down by getting sponsors to offset the cost of it.
Yeah, that
So
would be really
that's
great.
really what I want to be able to do. But
okay.
again, everybody's got to help be able to do that.
Right.
So, as much
Okay,
as they
so
can.
once again, thank you for your efforts and for everybody else on your team. We're appreciative.
Thank you very
Good
much.
night.
Feel better.
Yeah, feel better, please. Okay. All right, so we are now going to, can I have a motion to go into our special meeting?
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Well, we didn't have a roll call yet, so we need a roll call.
Councilwoman Shaw,
Present.
Councilwoman Dottori,
Present.
Councilwoman Feldman,
Present.
Supervisor Levenberg.
And we've already done announcements, and they were lengthy, so we're going to skip to board resolutions.
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Osney hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign a purchase order for the Town Parks Department to order one 2019 Kenworth chassis and hook lift hoist for Gabrielli Truck Sales, Hicksville, New York, as per the specifications contained within the quote dated May 22nd, 2018, with a price not to exceed $124,797.83, as per NJPA contract number 081716 KTC.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So as we remember from our work session a couple of weeks ago, this hook lift truck is going to be put to some very effective use for our town parks department, and we are hoping it will make them more efficient for a variety of different jobs. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign a contract with the START Group of Bloomingdale, Illinois for the provision of confined space training for highway and parks employees, as per the specifications contained within the proposal dated May 14th, 2018, and scheduled to take place in June 2018 at a price not to exceed $2,200.
Motion.
So moved.
Madeline Zaha, would you like to explain this?
Sure. So this is one of the trainings that's specific to our gentlemen who work sort of outside. So there are a couple of trainings that are specific to them. This happens to be one that our consultant does not provide. And it's almost a good thing that she doesn't, because the gentleman who does this training for us now has been working with the Village of Ossining for many years. And from what I understand, about 10 years ago, the town of Ossining used to participate in that training with the village. They fell in love with this guy, and then for whatever reason, the village and town stopped doing those trainings together. So they're always very excited when they see Mr. Kelly, and we've actually had to reschedule this a few times so that we could have Mr. Kelly and not one of his associates, because they like him so very much. So from what I understand, it's going to be 3 hours of classroom training just to update all their skills. As this board knows, we have 2 brand new employees, so this is going to be the first time they're going to sit through this with us. But I suspect both of them have had that training in their jobs prior. And then they have a 5-hour training, which they usually do up at the water treatment plant, where everybody actually gets to go into a confined space and use all the equipment. So by far, it's everybody's training, everybody's favorite training every single year, because it's, something that's really hands-on, and everybody gets to interact and really get a feel for what it is that hopefully they don't have to do very often. But it's great that we have all the equipment and the know-how when we do.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolved that the following changes to the Dale Cemetery fee schedule be implemented effective June 6, 2018. Add to interment prices. Cremated remains burial, each additional container, same time and grave, $300. Cremated remains placed in casket, each additional container, $300.
And the amendment, I think it's interment.
Interment?
Yeah. And otherwise, as discussed at our work session. Is there any further discussion?
I have I guess a question. Does that include pets?
We don't have pet burials.
Okay, so I was just wondering if, okay, so
Um,
it's people placing it, it's not pets placing
Pets
it.
and people have to be separate.
Okay,
Yeah, you can't bury them in the same place, right?
I'm watching too many movies, obviously.
Pet cemetery. Okay. We have talked about the possibility of
Creating a pet cemetery.
creating
I
a
actually
pet
love that
cemetery.
idea.
Pete thinks that the best place for it would be right across from the park at the bottom. Is it Dale Park? What's that little park right across? Jackie.
Yeah, off of,
No,
off
it's
of
the
Dale
Dale-
Ave.
yeah.
It's Dale Park. Is that?
It has a name to it.
It
but-
does. I can't remember what the
I
park.
just call it
It's
the
not.
Dale
I
Road.
can't remember. It's not popping into my head. But anyway, the little park that's right across the little brook from the cemetery. That section of the
We have a
cemetery.
nice little triangle section. there.
There's a little
Correct.
section there, and
Exactly that triangle
Pete has
section.
has
Right.
suggested that might be a lovely place for a pet cemetery.
I would love to explore that.
Is that everybody would like to explore that? You're not hearing from everybody. You're just hearing from some people. Okay.
Could we have a motion for resolution C?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the side. Okay. Any other further discussion about the cemetery fee schedule change?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Still didn't get a motion.
We didn't have a motion. I thought we had a motion.
So moved.
All right.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Austining authorizes opening a 2018 capital project number 2018-5210 entitled Municipal Restructuring Fund with a project budget of $22,445 for a shared service study of the town and village of Austining funded by a New York State grant.
Do you have a motion?
Second, but I have a question.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
As
Go-
you
go.
know, we recently approved a proposal for Michael Conti to start working with us on sharing information with the public on ways that we can save taxpayer dollars through municipal restructuring. We would like to set up a capital project for this grant so we can keep all of the work related to it in one place. We had already, again, approved the contract to work with Michael Conti, and we will have more information from the work that we're going to begin with him very soon.
The contract for Michael Conti, though, wasn't $22,000.
$12,500.
12,000. Okay, that's, so then there's a remaining $10,000 in the contract?
Correct.
Or not the contract,
Grant.
but the grant.
In the grant from
Outreach.
phase one. Yeah, for this particular phase.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
All
There's
right.
more money down the line to the tune of $400,000, but we're not there yet. We have a lot of stages to go.
Is the $10,000 would be for the additional $10,000?
For outreach?
Well, I don't think we actually know exactly what we're going to use it for yet. We would probably have to
So it
determine
depends
that.
on the outcomes of the
Yeah.
first study.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, for a whole number of different things.
Okay.
Okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
Resolved
Yeah.
that the Town Board of the Town of Austining hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign a purchase order in the amount of $3,000 for the town-owned property at Woodside Avenue, Briarcliff Manor, New York, Section Block and Lot 9810-255, in accordance with the submitted proposal dated May 21st, 2018 by RDM Valuations, Inc. of Tuckahoe, New York.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Okay, so for several years now, there has been talk about relocating the town highway department for a variety of reasons. Several of the structures need a physical update. Many of our trucks can no longer fit into the bays due to the small size of the garage and low ceilings, which leave them exposed to the elements and shortens their useful life. And frankly, our operations have outgrown the facility. Several months ago, someone with interest in the property approached our attorneys, and we have had very preliminary discussions with legal counsel about what that may mean. While we had a recent assessment on the property that values the property as it is currently being utilized, we believe that if valued at its highest and best use, that number would be different. We asked our assessor, Fernando Gonzalez, to get us several prices to move forward with a professional appraisal, and the quote from RGM Valuations came in the lowest. Even in the event that the party currently interested changes their mind, we want to have a realistic number in our minds for any potential buyers who may come forward in the future. And this report will be invaluable to us if and when we decide to relocate our highway department. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. So with that, may I have a motion to adjourn the special meeting and go into executive session for advice of counsel and personnel?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Right behind you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone so much. I hope everyone has a great week and enjoys all of the wonderful events that are happening in and around our town and villages. And we will see you again next Wednesday. Most likely at 7 o'clock. We'll have more information for you soon, but definitely at 7:30 for the public hearing about the community development block grants, which will be taking place at the library in conjunction with the Village of Austin. Thanks everybody and have a great night.